Have you ever felt like no matter how loud you speak, some people just refuse to hear you? What if I told you that silence, yes, silence, can be your greatest weapon? Because sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. People will test you. They'll push your limits. They'll overlook your value, dismiss your presence, and pretend not to see your worth. And naturally, you'll feel tempted to respond, to argue, to explain, to prove yourself just one more time. You'll want to make them understand what they've chosen to ignore. But listen closely. There's a strength that doesn't strike back, a power that doesn't need to make noise. Once you understand that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom, you begin to show up differently. You move with calm, you react with intention, and suddenly, those who thought they had you all figured out are left confused. Some of you are wasting so much energy trying to explain yourselves to people who've already decided not to get it. You keep talking, keep pleading, keep proving, thinking that maybe if you just say it the right way, they'll finally see the truth. But here's the harsh reality. People hear what they want to hear. They see what they choose to see. And when someone has already made up their mind about you, no amount of explaining is going to change that. It takes wisdom to know when to go quiet. It takes maturity to realize that not every battle deserves your words. Because the moment you engage, the moment you try to defend yourself, you hand over control. You give them something to twist, to manipulate, to use against you. And that cycle, it doesn't uplift you, it drains you. But when you pull back, when you say nothing, you take away the game, you remove the fuel. Silence is unsettling to those who feed off your reactions. They expect the argument, they expect the justification, they expect you to chase them, to beg, to perform the role they wrote for you. But when you don't, when you simply stop playing, it rattles them. Now they have to sit in the mess they made, with no distraction, no emotional cushion from your words. Some of you have been too available for too long, too predictable in your responses. And because of that, people have stopped valuing your presence. They know they can hurt you today, and you'll still show up tomorrow. They know they can ignore you, and you'll come running. They know they can push your limits, and you'll always explain, always forgive, always give another chance. But hear this clearly. When you finally pull away, when you finally stay quiet, when you finally show them that your presence is a privilege, not a promise, that's when they feel it. That's when your absence begins to sting. You do not have to prove yourself to those who've already decided not to see you. You do not have to shrink so others feel comfortable. And you absolutely do not have to fight for a seat at a table that was never meant for you. Because when you walk in silence, you walk in strength. When you stop explaining and start moving, you take back your power. And maybe, just maybe, that's why some people never change. Because your words have been cushioning the consequences of their actions for far too long. When you stop cushioning their behavior with your words, silence starts speaking louder than anything you could say. And yet, many of us still try. We explain their actions back to them, as if they didn't already know what they were doing. But let me be clear. People know. They always knew. They just never thought you'd be bold enough to act differently. They never imagined you would actually leave, actually fall silent, actually let them feel what life looks like, without you in it. But the moment you do, that moment you take a step back, you shift the entire dynamic. Because silence isn't just about walking away. It's about repositioning yourself. It's about standing so firmly in your self-worth that you no longer depend on outside validation to feel whole. And when you reach that place, that quiet, powerful place of inner clarity, that's when they finally start to notice. They begin to remember what you brought into their life. They start to feel the weight of everything they dismissed too easily. They realize, too late, what they've lost. But by the time they wake up, you've already grown, you've already healed. You've already entered a chapter where their presence is no longer needed. And that, right there, is when the regret kicks in. That's when they beg. That's when they realize the one they took for granted was the one they should have never let go. See, some people will never see you clearly until you're no longer standing in front of them. As long as you're always there, always calling, always forgiving, always giving, they assume you always will be. They get comfortable. They treat you like an option. And ironically, the more you try to show them your worth, the less they feel the need to recognize it. But the moment you step back, the moment you remove yourself from the equation, the moment you let silence settle in, that's when the truth starts echoing louder than ever before. Because distance is a mirror. It forces people to see what they've been avoiding. As long as you stay close, they don't have to face what they've done. They can downplay your value, pretend it doesn't matter, dismiss your presence like it's guaranteed. But the moment you go silent, the moment you stop texting, stop calling, stop showing up, it shakes them. It disrupts their comfort because now they have to deal with the absence of what they thought would always be there. Some of you are clinging to relationships, friendships, situations that aren't feeding you, but draining you. And you're not staying because you don't know your worth. You're staying because you're hoping they'll see it. You keep telling yourself, if I just love harder, if I'm more patient, if I give more, maybe they'll finally wake up. But let me tell you something hard, but necessary. Sometimes, the only way people will ever recognize your value is by feeling your absence. It is not your job to teach someone how to appreciate you. It's not your responsibility to convince them you're worth the effort. Either they see it or they don't. And if they don't, then let your silence speak for you in a way your words never could. Yes, stepping back is scary. Yes, there's that voice whispering, what if they don't come after me? What if they don't care? What if I let go and they never reach back? But let me ask you something deeper. Do you really want to hold on to someone who only stays because you never let go? When you stop chasing and step back, silence does the talking, and suddenly everything becomes clear. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do you really want to be somewhere you're merely tolerated instead of truly cherished? Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do, the bravest, most honest thing, is to let them feel life without you. Let them sit in the stillness. Let them feel the absence you used to fill so effortlessly. Let them hear the silence you once softened with your love, your patience, your presence. Because when you stop fighting for space in someone's life, you create space for them to choose. And that choice, their response to your absence, tells you everything you need to know. If someone truly values you, they won't risk losing you. They won't play emotional games. They won't make you beg for attention or treat your presence like an afterthought. But if you constantly have to remind someone that you matter, if you're always pushing for the bare minimum, then stepping back isn't just a test of them, it becomes a revelation for you. And here's the hard truth. Some people won't come back. Some people will let you go and never reach for you again. And when that happens, it's not your loss. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's proof. Proof that they were never meant to walk the road you're heading toward. Because the ones who care, the ones who truly see you, will feel the shift when you pull away. They'll recognize what they stand to lose. They won't sit comfortably in your absence. They'll come back, not because you chased them, not because you begged, but because your silence made them confront what they carelessly took for granted. You don't have to force love. You don't have to chase respect. You don't have to demand appreciation. When you step back, the right people step forward, and the ones who don't, they've just revealed the truth that was there all along. Life has a way of flipping the script. The same people who dismissed you, who took you for granted, who assumed they could do better without you. Give it time, because life teaches in ways words never can. It leads people down roads they never saw coming. And suddenly, the very ones who walked away will be the ones looking back, asking themselves how they ever let you go. They'll remember the loyalty you gave so freely. They'll miss the love you poured in without condition. They'll finally realize your kindness wasn't a guarantee. It was a gift. And your presence, it was never permanent. Because when you were there, loving them, supporting them, standing beside them, they thought it would last forever. But life has a way of revealing what was truly priceless once it's gone. And when that realization hits, when the regret starts to sting, when the weight of your absence settles in, that's when the tables turn. That's when they start looking for the door they once slammed shut. But here's what you need to understand. By the time they wake up, you won't be there anymore. By the time they realize what they lost, you won't be where they left you. You won't be sitting in that same place, waiting for their apology, waiting for a change of heart, waiting for them to finally recognize what was right in front of them all along. Because stepping back, it's not just about teaching someone a lesson, it's about elevating yourself. It's about shifting your focus from the ones who couldn't see your worth to the purpose that God has already placed in front of you. Oh, they'll try, they'll test the waters, they'll send that "Hey stranger" message. They'll just check in, not out of care, but to see if they still have access to you. Because when someone realizes they've lost something valuable, their pride usually shows up before their honesty ever does. They move in circles, looking for the easiest way back in, trying to sneak through the same door they once walked out of like it was nothing. But let me tell you something important. Just because they come back doesn't mean they've changed. Just because they regret losing you doesn't mean they're ready to honor you. Some people don't miss you because they love you. They miss the control they lost over you. You see, when they had you, they knew what you brought to their life. They might not have said it, but deep down, they knew. The way you loved, the way you supported, the way you stood beside them. Often in silence, often in ways they didn't even notice at the time. But they made the mistake so many people make. They thought they had time. They thought you would always be there. And when they realized they were wrong, they'll try to rewrite the story. They'll try to come back and claim a space they no longer deserve. But hear me, when the tables turn, you have to stand firm in what you've learned. You have to remember those sleepless nights, the tears you cried in silence, the days you felt invisible, the moments you questioned your own worth because of how they treated you. And then you have to ask yourself, do you really want to go back to what broke you? Or do you want to keep moving forward toward the future that's meant for you? Because when God removes someone from your life, it's not to hurt you. It's to prepare you, to position you for something greater. And if you keep reopening doors that were meant to stay closed, you'll only delay the blessing that's waiting on the other side. Trying to accommodate someone who was never built to go where you're going, that's not loyalty. That's self-sabotage. Let them regret it. Let them feel it. Let them sit with the consequences of the choices they made. Because when you stepped back, it wasn't out of anger. It wasn't out of pride. It was out of wisdom. And wisdom will always take you to a place where you no longer have to chase, beg, or convince anyone to see your value. And when they come back, and yes, many will come back, you won't need to explain a thing. You won't even need to say a single word, because the person they walked away from, that person no longer exists. You've grown, you've healed, you've changed. And this time, you hold the seat at the head of the table. You've grown, you've changed. And now, you no longer need to explain yourself to people who never truly listened. The truth is, some people don't hear you with their ears. They hear you with their pride. They don't see you with their eyes. They see you through the lens of their ego. And as long as you keep trying to prove your worth, they'll keep pretending it's up for debate. But let me tell you something that might set you free. Your value is not a discussion. It's not a negotiation. It's not something that needs to be explained to people who haven't even figured out how to value themselves. You don't need to argue for respect. You don't have to plead for attention. You should never have to beg someone to love you the way you deserve to be loved. If they can't see it, if they don't recognize it, if they act like they can live without you, then let them. Because the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop forcing, the moment you stop pouring your energy into people who refuse to pour it back into you, everything shifts. That's when the real revelation happens. That's when they start to see. They had something rare, something real, something they may never find again. See, people don't always appreciate what they have in front of them until it's gone. As long as you're available, as long as you're giving, answering every call, replying to every message, fixing every problem, they start assuming that's just who you are. Someone who will always show up, always be accessible, always be willing to pour yourself out, even when they give absolutely nothing in return. But the moment you go quiet, the moment you pull back, the moment you stop giving them energy they never earned, that's when they feel it. Oh, they might not say it at first. They might act unbothered. They might pretend your absence doesn't matter. But deep down they know something's changed. And that shift, it's loud, it's undeniable, it's uncomfortable. Because now they realize they miscalculated. They thought you needed them. They thought you'd always be there. They thought they could play games, take you for granted, treat you like an option, while still expecting you to treat them like a priority. But when you stop showing up, stop responding, stop proving your worth, all that's left is the truth. And the truth is, they had something special, someone who cared, someone who gave from the heart without needing to. And now they feel the loss. Now they understand what they dismissed. Now they feel the weight of what slipped right through their fingers. But here's the part they didn't see coming. By the time they realize it, by the time they come looking, by the time they start reaching back, you've changed, you've grown, you've healed, you've moved on. And the person they remember, the one they thought would always be there, that person isn't waiting anymore. Because this was never about revenge. This isn't about playing games. This was never about revenge. It was about rising. And now, your silence is saying everything that words no longer need to. This isn't about making them suffer. No. This is about knowing your worth. About understanding, deep in your soul, that your time, your energy, your love, they are not free. Let them feel it. Let them sit with it. Let them wrestle with the reality of the choices they made. Because when you stop trying to force people to see your value, that's when they start to realize just how much they've lost. Silence is powerful. It's not weakness. It's not giving up. It's not surrender. Silence is a statement. And sometimes it's louder than any words you could ever say. When you remove yourself from those who took you for granted, when you step back from people who never truly valued your presence, when you stop clinging to what was never meant to be held, that silence begins to echo, and not in the way they expected. Because people are used to your reaction. They're used to you explaining yourself, fighting for their attention, proving your worth. They expect you to reach out, to check in, to fix things, even when you weren't the one who broke them. They rely on your heart, your loyalty, your need to be understood. But when you go quiet, when you refuse to play into the cycle, when you hold your peace instead of handing them your energy, that's when the shift happens. At first, they won't take it seriously. They'll think you're just upset. They'll tell themselves it's temporary. They'll wait, assuming you'll come back around. Like always, they'll expect the same version of you to show up again, to send that text, to make it right, to remind them once more that they still matter to you. But when you don't, when your silence stretches longer than they ever expected, that's when the panic sets in. That's when they realize, this time, it's different. This time, it's real. This time, you're done. Because silence forces people to face themselves. As long as you're reacting, they don't have to reflect. As long as you're engaging, they can ignore the weight of their actions. But when you withdraw, when you stop entertaining their excuses, when you no longer give them access to your emotions, that's when they start hearing it. And that silence? It's deafening. Because now they have to think. Now they have to sit in the quiet and wonder, did they push too far? Did they take too much? Did they lose something they can never get back? They begin replaying every moment, every conversation, every time they brushed you off, dismissed you like you were nothing, only to realize you were everything. And the longer the silence lingers, the louder it becomes in their mind. But by then, it's too late. Because your silence, it wasn't a tactic. It wasn't a game. That's silence. It wasn't an act. It was a decision, a turning point. And now, everything is different. It was a decision to protect your peace. A decision to stop explaining your worth to people who never truly valued you. A decision to walk away from anyone or anything that made you feel like you had to beg for love, for respect, for attention. And when they finally gather the courage to reach out, when they try to break the silence, when they come back, hoping to pick up where they left off, they don't find the same version of you. They find someone different, someone stronger, someone who's no longer waiting, someone who no longer needs their validation to feel whole. Because you've learned something powerful. Sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Because silence, real silence, isn't emptiness. It's not absence, it's clarity. When you step back and stay silent, something shifts. The ones who were never meant for you, they fade quietly into the background. But the ones who truly value you, they fight for their place in your life. There comes a moment, a quiet but undeniable moment, when the same people who ignored you, underestimated you, treated you like you were replaceable, suddenly have no choice but to turn around. And not because you begged, not because you convinced them, not because you tried to prove anything. They come back because the absence of what you brought into their lives becomes too loud to ignore. Because here's the truth. Some people only realize what they had once it's gone. As long as you were there, loving, giving, supporting, they assumed it was just who you were. They believed they had all the time in the world to take you for granted, to dismiss your presence, to treat you as an option. But life has a way of humbling people. It will take them to a place where they're forced to reflect, forced to see clearly, forced to confront the truth they once chose to ignore. Yes, they may have left thinking they could do better. They may have walked away confident that you were replaceable, that if they ever changed their mind, you'd be right there, waiting. But what they didn't realize is, you are not someone who waits. You are not someone who begs. You are not someone who stands still while they figure out what they should have known from the start. And when they come back, when they try to pick up where they left off, when they reach for the connection they once dismissed, they will discover something painful. The door is no longer open because you've grown, you've elevated, you've stepped into a new chapter of your life. And what was once acceptable no longer fits where you're going. At first, they won't say it out loud. Pride won't let them. They'll test the waters. A message, a call, a how have you been? But over time, as they see you thriving, as they watch you smiling without them, as they realize they're no longer part of the world they once took for granted, desperation will begin to replace that pride. Because now they understand losing you was never part of their plan. They thought they could walk away and come back on their terms. They thought you'd still be there when they were ready. But now they know you're not. Just because they finally see your worth doesn't mean they deserve to step back into your life. They don't always come back because they love you. Sometimes they come back because life humbled them, because reality hit harder than they expected. They come back because they can't find what you gave them anywhere else, because they've searched and failed to replace the energy, the support, the peace you once brought. They come back because they finally realize they walked away from something rare, something real, something irreplaceable. But here's what you need to hold on to. You are not obligated to open that door again. You don't have to let them back in. You don't have to revisit a chapter that God already closed. You don't have to entertain the same people who once made you question your value, who made you feel small, invisible, or not enough. Because the truth is, when you stepped back, when you chose silence over chaos, when you stopped rescuing them from the consequences of their own choices, the tables began to turn. And now, you are the one who decides. So let them beg, let them regret, let them sit with the weight of what they lost. Let them see you glowing in your peace. Let them watch you thriving in your healing. Let them witness what it looks like when someone chooses themselves for once. Because by the time they realize what they had, you'll already be gone. You'll already have moved forward into something greater, into a space where your peace is protected, your heart is honored, and your worth is never again up for debate.